They're finally going to be gone. All these despicable enemies that have just reproached Jehovah's name, destroyed, never ever to live again. Especially these despicable apostates who at one point had dedicated their life to God, and then they joined forces with Satan, the devil, the chief apostate of all time.
So the kind folks at Reddit recently leaked a few convention videos which are incredibly disturbing. These videos teach Jehovah's Witnesses how they should react to apostates, aka anyone who has left the religious organization. You know that Watchtower has a long history of speaking against apostates, casting them as mentally diseased individuals under the control of Satan. Well, now they stepped up their rhetoric even more, as they're going to equate listening to apostates to listening to Satan himself. Yeah, it's about to get culty. You know, as always, we're doing the cringe challenge, so if you cringe, you lose, and when you cringe, let me know the exact moment you lost it. Are you ready?
Hello everyone. I'm sure you've enjoyed spending 3 days together in pure worship of Jehovah.
They sent poor David's plane to the grandfather's sofa. My dude is getting old.
First, let's consider Jesus' example of integrity. In the symposium, Imitate Jesus' responses to the tempter, we saw how we can remain loyal to Jehovah. We reject fleshly desires.
If this app could lead me to damage my relationship with Jehovah, it's not for me.
So from what I was able to reconstruct so far, the apostate clips are part of a series of videos focused on this family. Each family member is faced with a temptation to do something bad. For example, using a mobile application that displeases Jehovah.
We avoid drawing undue attention to ourselves.
Hi everyone that may be watching. I just really wanted to share with you all my truth about this whole experience.
Updating friends and family is one thing, but this feels wrong.
So this lady seems to be undergoing a health challenge of sorts. Maybe cancer, judging from the head covering, and as she tries to share her experience on the internet, she was probably chastised for it, because that would be drawing undue attention to herself. Oh, but Watchtower has no problem showcasing members with disabilities as long as they're used for the propaganda. This religion sucks, man.
We resist the lure of wealth and prominence.
Satan has always done this.
Bro was just looking at a nice house. Okay, here's the apostate section. Brace yourself.
And we refuse to listen to those who have rejected the truth.
Why am I still getting these posts?
Damn, I have to give it to them. They captured the feeling of cognitive dissonance perfectly here. The eerie music, the somber blue light, the boiling water, that's exactly how it feels when you're a believing Jehovah's Witness and you stumble across a post from an ex-member. Accusations of fraud, of covering up history, of enabling CSA. When you see these things, your indoctrinated brain starts sounding the alarm. You know you're not supposed to be looking at that stuff. The governing body told you so. But a part of you wants to learn more. You want to disprove these accusations because they must be false, right? God's one true organization would never cover over atrocities. At one point you start praying to Jehovah, asking him to not let you see any more of these posts. But if you're on the internet, it's only a matter of time before you see them again. That's what the brother in this illustration is feeling. Cognitive dissonance. And it's frankly one of the worst feelings in the world, especially if you're stuck in a high control religion.
Satan always tries to exploit our natural desires, like he did with Jesus.
If you are a son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread.
You know, I have no idea how the story of Jesus' temptation correlates with this experience. It's like they couldn't find a Bible story that teaches us to cover our ears against other people's points of view, and they had to use the temptation story and somehow make it fit.
Bethel's nice, but you have to think about your future.
If people could hear your truth, you would be an encouragement to so many people.
When I was your age, they told me all the time that the end could come tomorrow. But look at us. We're still here.
I mean, the dude is right. He brought up two really good points. You need to seriously consider your future before you accept going to Bethel, where you'll perform free labor for years. What are you gonna study? What career are you going to pursue? How are you gonna pay your bills? Watchtower is not gonna write you any checks, so you must be thinking about these things. Uncle is just looking out for his family's well-being. And his second point is also valid.
When I was your age, they told me all the time that the end could come tomorrow. But look at us. We're still here.
Our grandparents have been expecting Armageddon since they were young, and we're still here. If that generation was so convinced of an imminent end, and they got it wrong and now they're old, the same thing could happen to us. This is a legitimate concern that is brought over and over again, but Watchtower doesn't even bother addressing it at all.
And we've been able to make...
What's wrong?
I'm worried about them. They're different.
Yeah. I kind of felt that too.
You know, whenever I ask him how things going in their congregation, he won't give me a straight answer.
Really?
And he's always shifting the conversation to something negative about the organization.
How? What are you gonna do?
I don't know. But I sure hope I'm wrong.
Notice how the wife didn't even bother learning about the concerns brought up by her brother-in-law. She just went, what are you gonna do about it? It's a defense mechanism. She has to remain cold and distant from any apostate ideas, or else her beliefs will be challenged. And as much as Jehovah's Witnesses love to challenge the belief systems of other people, they don't like it that much when you challenge their belief system.
Hey, Justin, I want you to read this article I just sent you. It's gonna change the way you see the organization. Get back to me. Did you get that message I sent you?
Why would you send that to me? Better yet, why are you reading that garbage? It's all lies.
Garbage? How do you know if it's garbage if you haven't even read it?
Okay, boys and girls, guess how Justin is going to answer that question. How do you know the article is garbage if you haven't even read it? Is Justin A, going to read the article in order to disprove it, or B, is he going to actually listen to what his brother has to say? Time's up. The answer is C. He's going to ignore the question altogether and threaten to snitch his brother out.
Listen, you need to talk with your elders, because you need help. And if you don't speak to them, I will.
There's so much packed in this one line of dialogue. It's so insidious. Notice how they cast the questioning brother as spiritually sick, as needing urgent help from the elders. You know who else needs urgent help from the elders? Members who just committed a grave sin. So in a way, the organization is equating doing outside research and questioning your religion with grave sin. This point is reinforced when Justin threatens to talk to the elders himself. He expects his brother to stop his research at once and turn himself in. He might be treated with some compassion and just treated as someone who's having doubts. But if Justin reports him to the elders, then the elders will consider him an apostate and possibly disfellowship him. No, most probably disfellowship him. But that's exactly what the Watchtower wants. Anyone who has concerns about the organization is expected to either keep it to themselves or be cast off as an apostate. And believers are to serve as a sort of Gestapo to keep the organization pure. If it means snitching on your family members and ruining their lives, then so be it.
Wow, that's what you feel. I need help. I don't need any help, man. I'm finding the answers to my questions, bro, and I'm keeping an open mind.
Open mind? You're ignoring Jehovah's thinking. The truth saved our lives.
Justin, he's not ignoring Jehovah's teachings. If you truly believe God is the author of the Bible, then you would know he encourages us to keep an open mind. Just like when Paul was preaching to the Bereans, Acts 17:11 says, "Now, the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true." These Bereans didn't put their head in the sand after encountering a different point of view. The message that Paul was preaching was a drastic break from their religion, but what did they do? They kept an open mind and used the Bible to make sure that what Paul was preaching was actually true. And Watchtower loves to use this example of the Bereans to encourage people to study the Bible with them, but they completely forget about it once their beliefs are challenged by ex-members. And look, even if you don't believe in the Bible, like it's my case, I find it logical that a loving God who gave us a brain would want us to use it. Justin's brother is the one who's following Bible principles, and he's treated like Satan for doing so.
You're ignoring Jehovah's thinking.
And by ignoring Jehovah's teachings, Justin really means ignoring the teachings of the Watchtower, because in his mind, Jehovah and the organization are one and the same.
The truth saved our lives.
He also claims that the truth saved their lives. In other words, it was converting to the Jehovah's Witnesses that saved them from a miserable existence as worldly people. But even if converting to the religion improved their life in the past, that does not make the religion true. Just imagine a Catholic making the same argument. Joining the Catholic Church saved my life. That's how I know it is the one true church. Do you think any Jehovah's Witnesses would buy into that? Of course not. This is just a slogan that Justin must repeat to himself to maintain his beliefs. But it doesn't address any logical inconsistencies, it just appeals to his emotions. He wants his brother to ponder on all the good times they spent in the religion. But just because something was good for you in the past, that doesn't mean it's good for you forever. In my case, getting baptized did give me some stability during my teenage years, and I do have fond memories of when I was still in the religion, but just as Justin's brother, as my knowledge increased, my needs changed, and I found no more room for an organization which actively lied to me. So yeah, Justin, none of your arguments stand up to scrutiny. You should at least listen to what your brother has to say.
Look, man, how long have we known each other? I would never steer you wrong. I'm not out to hurt you. I'm trying to help you. How long have you known me?
Tell these stones to become loaves of bread.
I'm trying to share with you the truth.
Throw yourself down.
Do you really think I would steer you wrong?
I will give you all this authority.
I definitely don't need any help from them.
Do an act of worship before me. Go away, Satan!
Stop. There's only one truth, and it comes from Jehovah.
You're gonna walk away like that? What are you so afraid of? Man, stop being a coward.
Justin did not engage with a single argument that his brother brought up. Hell, we don't even know the arguments because Watchtower never mentions them. They cast any criticism of the organization as a lie, regardless if it's true or not. Negative equals false. Watchtower has no interest in engaging with the arguments and responding to them. All they want is for their members to stick their head in the sand and ignore all dissenting opinions. Like I mentioned, The temptations that Satan cast before Jesus have nothing to do with this dramatization, but Watchtower doesn't care. All they want is for JWs to associate any negative reports about the organization with Satan himself. We have reached a new level here, guys. Apostates are not just influenced by Satan, they are Satan. His words are our words. It's made explicit in the video when Satan's words overlap with the words of Justin's brother.
I definitely don't need any help from them.
Do an act of worship before me.
The devil is no longer the ultimate boogeyman in this religion. It's apostates. In the eyes of the Watchtower, apostasy is the worst sin you can commit. It is worse than being a liar, an adulterer, or a predator. In the temptation story, Jesus responds to Satan by quoting the scriptures and exposing his lies. And Satan is the one that gives up and flees. But in this convention video, Justin responds to his brother by literally running away and threatening to snitch him out. The organization is telling Jehovah's Witnesses to run away from any criticism of their religion. Wow, how brave.
Are you afraid? Are you chicken?
This commenter on Reddit put it perfectly. If this sect really preached the truth, they would be confident and calm, and we, the apostates, would be nervous and scared to death of them. But what happens is quite the opposite. Jehovah's Witnesses are nervous and scared to death of the apostates. And we apostates are calm here because we know that Jehovah's Witnesses are just a sect that preaches lies. Yep, I really can't emphasize this enough. When you're a Jehovah's Witness, you are terrified of stumbling across apostate sites. Because deep down, you know that something is wrong. You know that the organization is keeping something from you. You just don't know what exactly. But you also know that the cost of doing further research is very great. You know what would happen if you pulled back the curtain to see the man behind it. And that's what keeps so many JWs from ever listening to former members. It's not conviction, it's not love, it's fear. The fear of losing everything. And some of these Reddit comments are just super insightful. Let me just read a few for you. It's because they know how weak the faith of the average JW is. It takes nothing to burst their bubble of belief. If they had the truth, they wouldn't be afraid of any accusation thrown at them because they could disprove it. In fact, they would be encouraged to do it to build up their faith. But nope, paper thin faith, massive persecution complex. Yep, here's another comment. Gross video. They don't even see the irony. Think of how that scenario would be perceived if it was the JW trying to explain what they believe and the non-JW getting in the car and driving off. They can't even have a conversation anymore. Just equate anything that doesn't match with Satan and run. This is just like that video of Jade who grabs her purse and makes for the exit if her own mother so much as hints at having concern about her religion. Videos like this should be sending off so many red flags. At this point, Watchtower has released so many anti-apostate videos, you could make a whole Netflix special out of it. But you know, I'm glad these apostate videos leaked so early, because they show that the governing body is terrified of apostates. They have been for a while, since David's plane officially declared war on apostates back in 2021. Another spineless talk which told JWs to stick their head in the sand. And I know these videos will deter some members from ever doing outside research, but I hope at least some of them start wondering, what is this organization keeping from me? And once they actually treat that question seriously, that will be the first step towards finding their freedom.
Bah. Goodbye, little sheep.